because I was worried about all this stuff. And I'm like, you know what? If I just focus on what God wants me to do, focus on his word, focus on getting the word to people, then everything else is going to come, right?
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another glorious episode of the Tents and Tabernacles podcast, where we meet God through the person of Jesus Christ.
What up? What's up, you guys? We're back. We gave you guys a week off. Well, we gave ourselves a week off, but we're back. Technically it's episode 20. Like, by the way we count it, but we, like, technically, like, if we don't count bonuses and church bulletins, this is our season 1 episode 20.
That's crazy. That doesn't even sound real.
I know, we're just trucking along. It technically, if we count bonus church bulletins, we have like 24 episodes, I think.
Yeah.
At least. Something like that. Yeah, so like 24, what is that? Like 6 months of podcast life? If it was like every week. Yeah. So anyway, we have a lot to discuss today, so I don't even know. Should we do highs and tries, or should we just...
Nah, let's just go ahead and get into it.
Okay, I'm going to pray real quick because we need it. Lord, we lift up your name. We magnify your name. Tonight, give us the words to say. Tell us what to do. We have a lot to discuss, and we do not want to lead anyone astray by accident. So we just thank you, we praise you, and we love you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so in my notes, this is like how I have the breakdown, because last episode 19, we did Proverbs, our Proverbs for TikTok pastors episode. Yeah. We only went up to like Proverbs 20, and there are 31 Proverbs, but we're not going to give you the rest of the Proverbs. We're only going to give you Proverbs 30 and 31. And of course, we're going to do Proverbs 31 because we're going to talk about the Proverbs 31 woman. Do you remember when I was talking about the fun facts about Proverbs and the authors, the different authors, and there was two people named Agur and Lemuel? Do you remember that? Okay. Yes. So I finally got to their passages. That's 30 and 31. Yes. And I figured out that it might not be Solomon. There's no way to know for sure. Once I did my little researches, it's like, it could be somebody else. But 30, what I like to say about Proverbs 30 is it's a lesson in like humility. The guy Agur, he's very like boastful, not to boast of any of his spiritual knowledge. He starts it off where he's like, he says something about like, I have no knowledge of the Holy One. Like, he's talking about how like no one can really know everything about God. Like, God is so lofty above us. I found this quote that said, earth-bound mortals cannot find transcendent wisdom apart from the transcendent Lord. Real wisdom must find its starting point in God's revelation. In his light, we see light. I love that. I almost posted it, but I kind of forgot to.
That's beautiful.
Wow. I know, right? I thought that was really nice. But basically, we're not going to spend too much time because we're going to get to some spicy stuff in a little bit. Proverbs 30 is just like basically saying like, there's a verse in there that I like that's about like not adding to God's word or taking away from it. And that's a big one, I think, because a lot of people be trying to do that.
Yeah.
You know,
trying to read all the stuff into the scriptures and to try to make it work. And it's like, no, it works how it
works
is.
Fine. Yeah. It does not need your help. I wrote down, when we add or take away from God's word, we are targets of God's rebuke, and we will be exposed as liars. So
Yes.
if you're thinking about, you know, trying to either take out or put in something that's not there, or if you're just trying to misinterpret it, that's like almost the same thing. If you're trying to misinterpret it, you're a liar. That's not going to work out
Yep.
well for you. Because, you know, there's been people in history that like, I hate to keep ragging on the Mormon church, or even not even them. Remember that video you sent me of
Oh yeah,
the
about the
Passion
Passion
Translation?
translation.
He was about to add a whole chapter to what, like John or something?
John 22.
Yeah.
And he said that God was gonna like bring him back to have pretty much do like the revelation experience again, like what God did with John in the on the Isle of Patmos.
I think that's right.
Yeah. And I was like, he already did it once. Why does he need to do it with you, friend?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then another fun fact, real quick, in the Mormon faith, the leader Joseph Smith, he literally like wrote himself into like genealogies. You can't be doing that, man. It's just like not but my main point of talking about Proverbs 30 is when he says, what is his name and what is the name of his son?
Yeah.
I was like, he knows he has a son. Oh
So
my
a
God.
lot of people use this verse in regards to the Trinity. And so I highlighted it because a lot of people are like at least somebody that I know specifically had a conversation with me and was like, this verse proves that like God is not Jesus and Jesus is not God because it's his
What?
son's name.
But I feel like they
And
got
I'm
different names, but they can still be God.
right. Yeah. No, because like, the verse
Yeah.
works with the rest of the Bible that actually says not that. Like
Yeah.
it says not that
I didn't get that
interpretation of that.
vibe. When
I
I
didn't
read that,
either.
the vibe I got was like, they know that there is God the Son. Like, what
Yeah.
is his name? Because God has a name. God has many names, but so does his son. His son got names
Mm-hmm.
too.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Now, what would have been a trip is if he had said, what is his name? What is the name of his son? And what is the name of his spirit? Now that would have just took
Then
me out.
what?
That would have took me all the way out. But
Listen.
yeah, it says basically it's like when he was saying that, he's like, who knows anything? Who has gone up to heaven? Who
Yeah.
has come down? Who really knows what's going on in this world besides God? And we only know what God reveals to us, unfortunately. I know we
Yeah.
all want to know
Mm-hmm.
everything all the time. I know I used to want to know. I used to wish I had a power of reading people's minds, but
Mm-hmm.
no, it's not a thing for me.
I don't want
Mm-mm.
that. I don't want
I
that at
really
all.
used to want to know just so I can know where I stood with people and I could just like cut people off and not even tell them why and
See,
just go about my
God
business.
can tell you that without you knowing what they thinking.
It's
Because
true.
I
It's
think it
true.
saves my self-esteem by
Yeah,
not
that's
knowing
true.
and then
Yeah.
just like having God say, yeah, they're not really for you.
Yeah, because what they really are thinking might be too hurtful for you.
Yeah, so I'm gonna let him filter those conversations. I ain't gotta be in them.
Yeah,
I do not have
yeah.
to hear
I
them.
probably would be way meaner if I knew that actually.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wrap up Proverbs 30. Did you have anything in Proverbs
Yep.
30 or no?
It was just that verse that I highlighted.
Oh, okay. The end, I think it's 11 through 14. It says like it's basically talks about like how every generation is right in their own eyes, and um that the people don't this generation doesn't want to respect their elders, their parents.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like that's like a cycle of, you kind of like when you get older, you kind of look back and you see the younger people and you're like, y'all just don't have any respect. Y'all don't do anything. And you probably were the same way when you were young, but you can
Yeah.
see it from a different view when you get
Mm.
older. And every generation thinks that they're right. Every generation thinks that they're, whatever.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think about it even like modern day. Like this generation thinks that they are hot stuff. They think that they are the
Yeah.
ones that know everything, that every generation before them knows nothing. And how can that even be true? Every generation
Because
has thought
so
that.
did we.
Yeah, every generation has
Yeah.
thought that the generation before them don't know nothing.
Yeah.
And like I always say, like people have this assumption that like even people in Bible times or like cavemen or whatever, they assume that these people were like their brains didn't work. And it's like, why do you think that you're so much smarter than other people?
Right. Like
Yeah.
Job's friend that was real young, and he was like, okay, I'm gonna let y'all talk because I was young. I'm not gonna say nothing. But let me say everything that y'all should have said, which is exactly what you said, but you didn't say right.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I
I'm
totally
like,
agree
bro,
because it
sit
was
down.
like you didn't really need to come in here. You kind of
You
saying
didn't.
everything somebody
You
else said with
inserted yourself.
a slight twist.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so we're gonna finish off Proverbs. We're gonna go into Proverbs 31, which a lot of people probably either have heard of Proverbs 31 is because of the Proverbs 31 woman, or I don't know. I feel like that's probably like why it's so famous, right?
Yeah. Because honestly, I don't really hear anybody say before like verse 10.
Right, because I was thinking that too. I was like the Proverbs 31 woman,
It's
or
all of chapter 31. No, it's not.
no, the first, really the whole chapter is okay, so this is written by, apparently Lemuel is a king. So Lemuel is a king, but they're saying he's not a king of Israel because he's not in any of the records. He's most likely a pagan king who probably converted or found
Mm-hmm.
God, or his name actually means belonging to God. That's what Lemuel means. Um, there are, though, several older commentators and Jewish legends that say that Lemuel was Solomon and that the mother spoken of is Bathsheba, because the beginning of it, if you really read it, it's like advice from your mom.
It
The
is.
because it's like it says something like, I should pull out my Bible, but it
In the
says something
first,
like,
it says it contains a message that his mother taught him.
yes, yes, yes. So it could be. I mean, you don't know. Who knows? Who knows? It also could have been maybe Lemuel wasn't an Israelite, but maybe his mom was. Who even knows? Or his mom knew the
Possibly.
Lord somehow.
In
She
my
had an encounter.
in my Bible, it says that he was the king of Massa,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's not
What is
Massa with
Massa?
an H, so it's
What
not
is
one
Massa?
of the tribes. Massa. No, that's Manasseh,
No.
not Massa.
Yeah, I don't know what Massa is though. And then I didn't
Me either. I
I
didn't
don't
look
know.
that
Yeah, but it's a
up.
guy. It's a guy, and basically it starts off with he's just talking about stuff his mom told him, and then it gets to the woman. It's like how you find a wife, and this is advice from his
hmm
mom on what you should look for in a wife, which I thought was interesting. That's a better way to look at it rather than thinking it's like some guy who's like writing down what a woman should be like.
Yes,
And
thank you
it
for
is,
saying
but
that.
it's like stuff he learned from his mom about like, hey, you're gonna need a wife one day, and this is the qualities that I think that she should exhibit. And that gave it a whole new perspective for me, actually.
hmm
Like, I
Yeah,
don't know what I was
because
thinking about before.
so I've always like kind of seen Proverbs 31 being used as like the the Christian version of like hashtag that girl.
Mm-hmm.
Um and it's been extremely irritating my whole life because I'm like, where's the husband and why is she the only one waking up early and going to bed late? Like why is she doing all of this stuff just to have her husband say good job?
Yeah.
Like, ew, gross. No thank you. Um and it's like it was just too much. Like it was another way for Christians to tell women how they should be.
Yeah.
And I was not a fan.
No, for real. For real. When
But
I
I like
first
how you
heard,
explained it because that is more true than I've ever heard ever.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot more sense. Like when you really look at, and this is why I love telling people to know the who, what, when, where, why of what was written, because when you think about Proverbs and how it's really written to, I mean, we could all use it because it's wisdom, but its original audience was young men.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to have young men grow up to not be little heathens, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And and I just think that it's better when you see it as like, oh, his mom was just like, and then I wrote down too that a virtuous woman can be single or married. So it's not even about being a wife. It's about like just having these great qualities as being like a hardworking woman, um, a smart woman, a woman who has business savvy, a woman who takes
Mm-hmm.
care of the house. Like it does sound like a woman who like, oh, she has it all. Like it kind of sounds like, dang, I can't live up to that. I can't do all that.
Yeah.
But it's not a bad thing to strive for. I don't think it ever says in there that like if she's not this though, like she's trash. It just says like, hey, maybe look for these type of qualities. And
Mm-hmm.
then I wrote also, this is a good fun fact, the word strength that they use in
Mm-hmm.
31:17 is
Yeah.
also used in other places. It's like the woman that is described, she's a champion. She's victorious. She's wise.
Yeah.
And the same word is used in Exodus 15:2 and 1 Samuel 2:10. And that puts it in more perspective for me too, because like she's just, I don't know. She is that girl. She is that girl though. But it's like I don't think she's perfect. I did read that what is the part where it's like a woman who fears the Lord is to be praised.
Mm-hmm. It's at
And
the end.
that's where it all comes down to. All this other stuff is cool. It's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But the first things first is she needs to fear the Lord, because that's where all the wisdom comes from. And that's where she'll be able to do the rest of that stuff. She's not going to be able to
Mm-hmm.
do the rest of that stuff if there's no fear of the Lord.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly. Exactly. We wouldn't go stay on Proverbs that long.
Yeah.
Okay. So we also read Ecclesiastes, another book of wisdom.
That book is
Um,
depressing.
it it kind of is. I was trying to figure out, should we be following these things, or it's like, is
Like,
am I supposed to be like, yeah, yeah, I'm a vaping.
right. Like it's giving existential crisis. It's
I think
giving
I no, low key, I think that it was because Solomon wrote this and he was like
yes.
old at this point, and I think he was just looking back on his life. And after we talk about Ecclesiastes and we kind of get into Solomon's life and his
Yep.
his downturn, I think we will understand why
Mm-hmm.
he was saying the things that he said. But I'm glad that he
Yeah.
realized it at the end.
So after reading all of the stuff that happened with him, it made sense why everything was meaningless.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
throughout Ecclesiastes, you have like two things that are constantly repeated, like everything under the sun and it's all meaningless or vain or futile or whatever
Mhm.
word you would like to use for it don't mean a thing.
It don't mean
Um,
nothing.
uh, and like after after reading more about Solomon, I was like, oh, the reason why is because he didn't have God anymore.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, of course, nothing's going to matter if you're not thinking about, like we were talking about in the church bulletin last week or like last episode, is like, would you still love God without the promise of heaven?
Mhm.
Everything is meaningless without the reward of heaven.
Yeah.
Or without judgment. There's like everything is meaningless because you're just doing it. So there's no consequence or reward from those things. And he was saying how like all throughout Ecclesiastes, it was just like, so eat, drink, be merry, like do
He's
all the
like,
fun
enjoy
things, have
yourself.
fun, enjoy yourself now, because when you're dead, brother. And I was like,
Yeah. He was like, basically, he was like, the same thing happens to the righteous and the unrighteous. So we
it
all
is
gonna
what it
die.
is.
So, but I mean, there were some parts. Okay, hold on, wait. I'm gonna give my fun facts to the listeners because
Okay, good.
I don't know if y'all enjoy them, but I enjoy giving them to you. Okay, I
I
don't know.
enjoy them. So if it's
I
not for
think
anyone
they're
else, it's for me.
I enjoyed them when I first my first time around reading the Bible. I was like, yes, I think it puts it in perspective. Okay, so our author of Ecclesiastes is the King Solomon. It's widely attributed to King Solomon. As we know, we don't know who wrote none of this stuff. Honestly, we just believe and have faith.
Right.
The date is most likely written during the final years of his life, like I said. But before the kingdom was divided, before Israel and Judah split, it was before that because, because he died before that.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The audience is the Israelites. The resource I used said the wise Israelites or something, but I was like, how wise were they? Anyway,
Right. What wisdom was left? Answer me
yes,
that.
the reason it was written was to show that material things fade away and the real meaning of life can only be found in things above. And the theme is that everything under the sun is vanity, like Vic said. So I don't have necessarily specific notes for Ecclesiastes. I kind of have it like I did Proverbs, like my highlights. But
Me too.
how do you feel? Okay. Um, I have every chapter except chapter 6, but I can hop around.
Okay,
Um,
my first one is in 2.
okay. My first one is in 2. Is there something that I really want to say in 1? Da, 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 da. I did like in 1:9 when it says, what has been is what will be, and what has been done is what will be done. There is nothing new under the sun. Can
Yep.
anyone say about anything, look, this is new. It has existed in the ages before us. There is no remembrance of those who came before, and of those who will come after, there will be also no remembrance. So that is depressing too, because it's just like, y'all think new stuff is new? Ain't none of this new. Nobody's even going to remember you when you die. And do you remember the people who died? No, you don't. So just, I was like, golly.
Man,
Oh my
it's
gosh.
like, bro, it was just so bleak. Like,
It is one of my favorite books, though. I'm not going to lie. Because I feel
it's
like
beautiful,
it's
but
so,
it's so tragic.
but I feel like, haven't you felt like that? Like you was just like, man, all this stuff is just, like,
Yes.
none of this stuff even matters. Like, I'm
Yeah,
just gonna,
no. I've had quite a few existential crises in my 26 years of living.
yeah, you're
I've had
26.
quite a few. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I think he was
I've had
having
quite a
that.
few where I felt this way.
I think he was having that. Okay, what verse did you have in 2, or what verses did you have in 2?
Verses 24 through 26. So I decided there is nothing better than to enjoy food and drink and to find satisfaction in work. Then I realized that these pleasures are from the hand of God. For who can eat or enjoy anything apart from him? God gives wisdom, knowledge, and joy to those who please him. But if a sinner becomes wealthy,
A cedar.
a sinner. If a sinner becomes wealthy, God takes the wealth away and gives it to those who please him. This too is meaningless. Like facing the wind. Like I was like, yes, yes, yes. This too means nothing.
But this is the thing, what I will say. A lot of stuff I feel like the first time I read this, when he said that it was meaningless, I almost felt like some of the stuff that we think about, like not just life in general is meaningless, but like all this stuff you trying to do, all this like,
Yeah.
I want to build my career at work and I want to like just all this little stuff. I want to get a house and I want to, and it's all nice stuff. And he's saying, enjoy your life. But at the end of the day, you can't take it with you. It doesn't matter. Like if you put too much stake into those things and not your relationship with God, then your life is trash.
Yeah.
Like,
and it will
it
amount to nothing in heaven. It
yeah,
will
like
literally amount to
no
nothing in
one will
heaven.
remember it. There'll be no impact. Like I feel like, yeah. Let's keep it going. I think there were 12 chapters in all. Ecclesiastes wasn't that long. Let me see what I had in chapter 3. I have written down 10 through 11.
I have 21.
Okay. I think this one's kind of funny. Ecclesiastes 3, 10 through 11. I have seen the task that God has given the children of Adam to keep them occupied. He has made everything appropriate in its time. He has also put eternity in their hearts. But no one can discover the work God has done from beginning to end. I love when I read stuff like that because it's like, it makes me understand that I'm not going to understand everything, especially God. Like, and people don't like that, especially when they're struggling with the idea of God. And you're like, well, you're not going to understand him. So they're like, well, how can you understand him? And I'm like, I understand what he has revealed to me, what he has told me, what I've seen with my own eyes, what experiences I have had. But has he told me everything? Are there still things that elude me? Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that I'm just like, man, I don't know. I don't have an answer for you. Just you will have to pray about it. And it sounds real cliche, but I can't tell you.
Basically.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
What did you say? You had 21?
Yeah, but this is kind of a funny one, but I was like, I have to say it. For who can prove that the human spirit goes up and the spirit of animals goes down into the earth? So the only note that I had on there was, do all dogs go to heaven?
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell me that animal spirits, they don't go anywhere.
I never thought about that. Do they have spirits? Do they have a soul? I don't know. Do they?
I don't know.
Is
there a doggy Jesus?
No, I think Jesus going to have to be Jesus for all of us.
Yeah.
But, okay, think about this though. Okay, hold on. Wait, now my brain is going. I'm having a moment here. Hold on, wait.
Donkeys talked.
Donkeys talk because God talked through the donkey.
Right, but they had the function of doing that.
Because he has vocal cords. This is the thing though. But does he have a spirit and a soul? So like, do animals know right from wrong? Do they have morality? I don't think so. Do they? Or do they? I'm not sure.
Dogs know what they should and shouldn't do.
That's true because they're domesticated. What about wild animals? Do they have?
They have a code of conduct. Animals have a code of conduct.
That's true.
It's just not influenced by man a lot of times.
Can they sin? Is there salvation for a gorilla? I need to know that. Are they going to heaven or hell, or do they just cease to exist and they go into like oblivion?
Okay, so boom. Here's my theory.
I did not know.
Here's my theory. So
I didn't expect.
Ecclesiastes also says, like right before that verse, Solomon was like, all humans are just fancy animals. That's in theory basically what he said. So how can you tell me that animals go one place and humans go another place when humans are just fancy animals? That's in essence what he said. So
it's true.
For me, if that's the case, if we're just fancy animals, then did all the other animals sin first? Have they sinned? Because if our sin is what kept us out of heaven, right? If our sin is what separated us from God, did they ever have that?
I don't know. We will never know,
Exactly.
which is what he said.
Exactly. We'll never know that. But it's like God
You,
still saved animals in the flood.
Because they ain't do nothing.
They didn't do anything.
I don't think.
So I think that animals do go back to heaven.
So you
Not
think
because they have souls, but
just
because
because?
they belong to God.
Oh wow. So you think when we get to heaven, it's gonna be like animals and stuff? Like we're gonna be like riding giraffes and stuff? Do you
I
think?
don't know about riding giraffes. I think there's animals though, because I mean, even in Revelation, it spoke of animals. So I don't think animals are just an earth concept.
Hey, I haven't really thought about that. That's why I'm like, whoa. Like I don't know. I really don't know. Do you think that you'll see your dogs in heaven, like the dogs you have?
I hope not.
You
I'm
think
kidding.
you you think that you'll know who they are? Like, will we even know who each other are, or will we just be like totally fangirling about Jesus that no one cares about each other anymore?
So I've also talked about that with my husband a lot, because I think that when you lose your memories, you lose yourself. And because
Yeah.
God has knit us together, I don't think our memories go away. I think that, well, because then also it would make it really hard to worship God if our memories are wiped. Because then why are we
Mm,
worshiping him?
maybe he could wipe
I mean,
certain ones, because God
I
can't
think he
take
wipes
memories away.
the pain. So there's
'Cause
verses
God
where it
has
says he
taken
wipes
memories
the
from me that I'm
tears.
like I can't even remember anymore.
Hmm. Yeah, so I feel like he'll like, I mean, there's verses that say he wipes the tears from your eyes, right? And so I feel like he wipes the pain from memories, um,
Yeah,
and then keeps the rest. I don't think there's any
that's true.
lack. So like you may remember it, but only see it from the sanctified view of the thing. So like maybe we'll understand the grand scheme of what happened more in heaven than we do now.
Yeah,
Because you know how
yeah.
sometimes like we'll be like, oh, well, I wasn't able to do this thing, but it turns out that I wasn't supposed to do that thing. I was supposed to be doing this over here. And if I didn't do this over here, I wouldn't be where I am now. You're
Mhm.
able to look back and say, oh, well, like it was God's hand closing that door, and you no longer feel like slighted or feel like you missed out because you know that God moved you or closed that door. I feel like that'd be that for like all of our memories.
Wow.
This is what I think about when I go to sleep. That's
The cats are gonna be in heaven. I never really thought
I don't
about it,
think cats
honestly.
go to heaven, but
I used to have
I
two
think
cats.
cats are just a little, I think they actually sinned on earth. Don't come for me in the comments. Cats are evil. That's just what it is.
Well, witches be using cats, but I did have cats. I did had two. But some cats are real nice. There's certain breeds.
So
I feel like the devil gave the cats a bad name. They was just chilling, minding their business.
listen, demons can be nice sometimes. They still demons.
Oh my god.
And those are cats. So
Oh,
Ecclesiastes.
I about to say, I almost said, are the dinosaurs in heaven now? Look, we're gonna keep going. Chapter 4. What did I have in chapter 4? I only had one thing in chapter 4. Oh, this is like a famous one. You might have had this one too. Chapter
Probably.
4, 9 through 12. Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their efforts. For if either falls, his companion can lift him up, but pity the one who falls without another to lift him up. Also, if two lie down together, they can keep warm. But how can one person alone keep warm? And if someone overpowers one person, two can resist him. A cord of 3 strands is not easily broken. And that
Yep,
is true. Have you ever
it is.
tried to deal with one of those ropes that's 3 strand? That
Yep.
thing's strong.
You can
You
only do it
cannot.
unless you break one of the strands.
You have,
If
yeah.
you
If
have
it's
to
one of
break
those thick
one,
ones, you might be sawing at it for a little while. That's been on the dock for a
honestly.
while. Yeah, it's not gonna happen. But I like that one because it encourages us to you know, you don't need a lot of friends, but you need some people around you that like,
Mm-hmm.
so you like when you do fall, you're not just on the ground. Like,
Yeah.
and you know, somebody reach your hand out and help me up. Somebody around you, friends, family, somebody. But I didn't look this up already, but when it says a cord of 3 strands is not easily broken, does that mean like what's the third strand? If there's two or better than one, is that God? Is God the
So
strand that's
that's
holding it
how I've
together?
always heard it, especially in regards to like marriage, that God's the third strand. I'm like, God's the whole rope, bro. We're just here.
Mm,
We're just holding the
that's
rope,
true.
but this
That's true. But
God's the whole rope.
I can see someone making that analogy because it's like, I do believe when you keep God at your, like in like the center of any relationship, like friendship, relationship, whatever,
Hmm.
that it works a lot better or like, yeah, than otherwise. So maybe it's like he's just holding it together.
Hmm.
I don't know. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ecclesiastes 5. Did you have anything in Ecclesiastes 5?
I had a lot, but I'm only gonna say verse 7.
Okay.
Talk
What
is
is
cheap.
verse 7?
It says talk is cheap. Like daydreams and other useless activities. Fear God instead.
Yeah. Yeah.
He said what he said.
Yeah. I like your translations how it says that cuz it like really is like modern day like, bruh, stop talking
Hmm.
and you know, cuz I just feel like I was like that for a long time, just talking about stuff that I'm going to do, my dreams and
Hmm.
this and that. But if you're not really doing it and you're not really giving it to God for real,
Yeah.
then who
Let
cares?
it go.
It's
Just shut up.
all, yeah, just,
Talk is
ooh,
cheap.
it
Doing
is. It
stuff is
really is.
expensive.
It
And
really
like
is.
also it was talking about how basically like stop making promises to God that you know you're not gonna keep. Like stop lying to the Lord because it's gonna come and bite you in the
Yes.
butt. And I'm
And
like,
he
oh my
knows.
gosh. Like, do you know how many times I'm like, Lord, if you get me through this, I will blankety blankety blank.
Yeah.
Lord,
Hmm.
if you just help me in this, I promise to do da 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 da. Knowing good and well I ain't gonna do that. And now I done
Yeah.
lied to God. I done
And that's
betrayed
worse.
God
Yeah. Now you betrayed him because he don't take them covenants lightly.
at all. I'm over here promising stuff and stuff willy nilly, and then expecting expected to believe that God's promises are like yes and amen, and I can't even keep mine.
Mm. Dang. Yeah. I'm trying to remember the last time I did that. Just was like, if you get me out of this, a lot of the times I did pray those prayers, I was like in immediate danger. Like, Lord, I need you to please help. I don't know what I said though. I'm trying to think if I ever prayed that type of prayer
Mine was
because
definitely the morning after.
you know it's like I know that I ain't gonna do it. And I just know. I just usually I just be praying like, Lord forgive me because I'm in a
Yeah.
bad position and I just really need your help. But I know I've probably prayed like that before. I just can't remember now because I just
Mhm.
know. I already know I'm not gonna do it because I feel like sometimes when you pray those prayers, you really have intentions on doing. You're like, I am really about
Yeah.
to get my life right, and
Mm.
no, you are
No,
not about to
you're
get your life
not.
right.
Mm-mm.
And I don't want to make those type of promises. I don't like to make those type of promises to anybody, but with God, I feel like, you know, he says that not to make those like super crazy oaths that you like, just don't even put yourself in that position because now you have to do it. Just like that guy, and what was that in Judges who had to sacrifice his daughter, but we don't know if he really did it or not. Yeah. Because he
Mhm.
made that oath and it's like, why nobody asked you to do that. So I feel like God
At
telling us like
all.
nobody asked you to promise me that you go tithe 100% of your check. Nobody asked you to do that. I nobody asked you to promise me that. That
Not
was
at
done.
all.
But now you told me you're gonna do it, so pay the
So do it
piper.
for the vine. So do it for the vine.
um I didn't like I said, I didn't have anything in chapter 6. Because I was
I
trying not to
did.
write everything down because I was like, I know us and we can't have a
You're
2-hour
right.
podcast today.
You're right. We're actually doing really good right now.
We
So
are. I'm so proud of us. Like,
we went on tangents. Like we talked about philosophical things and we're only at 41 minutes. So I'm proud of us.
yes.
I have chapter 6, verse 10, and I'm
Okay.
going to have to go on a tangent after this. It's going to be short though. But it says, everything has already been decided. It was no long ago what each person would be. So there's no use arguing with God about your destiny.
That's wonderful. What's that, 10? I'm about to highlight that. That is
6:10.
beautifully written.
Mm-hmm.
Why didn't I write that
In
down?
the NLT, in the New Living Translation. Okay,
Mm,
so I can't remember. Did I say it on the um church bulletin, the last church bulletin about time, or did I just tell you?
about time? What
Mm-hmm.
about time? That doesn't exist? What about time?
Um, about like God being sovereign, but us also having free will.
Oh, yes. I think, because I know you did say that God is sovereign in that episode.
Mm-hmm.
But you were talking about how, like, we didn't have any, everybody wants to talk about higher power and things like that, but they don't say
Okay,
that God is sovereign. That's what you said.
gotcha. Okay, so there's more. So God being sovereign is him like, knowing everything, right? Controlling
Mm-hmm.
everything, right? But we also have free will. How does that happen? If we are reading in Ecclesiastes saying that everything has already been decided and there's no use arguing with God about your destiny, then how do we have free will? So I watched a
Mm.
movie and it wasn't like a Christian movie, but like God is God. So everything belongs to him
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
So it was called A Needle in a Time Stack. And it has Cynthia Erivo and Leslie Odom Jr. and literally the best movie ever, and they don't even have to sing for it to be the best movie. Anyway, so it's about time, obviously, but it's in the future, and like if you have enough money, you can go get this thing called time jaunting, where um you can go back in time and like alter things. Well, you can go back in time. You're not supposed to alter things, but you pay enough money, you can alter things, and it'll cause
Mm.
phasing to happen in the present. So anybody that was connected to that, their life would be phased in reaction to that change. And
Wow.
so the two main characters are being phased by someone who was involved in their life prior, and he's trying to like break them up or whatever. Or make it to where they've never met. So
Oh, man.
yeah, so throughout the movie, multiple characters were like, well, if I would have never met you, or if I never talked to you at this party, I would have never married so and so. And then in another phasing, it's like, well, um if I never went to this place, I would have never met you. And that's what caused me to marry my husband. And it was just all of these like different things. But every time that you would go back and change one decision in the past, it would cause a ripple effect. And so it kind of made me think about, okay, all things work together for the good of those who love God and who are called according to his purpose. And God is sovereign, but we do have free will. So does that mean that God has ordained every possibility?
Mm.
So every possible outcome?
I have always thought that. I don't know who I was talking to one time, but I was like, we have choices, but I was like, I feel like God knows every possible choice that could be made and therefore knows every possible outcome. I don't see that being too far out of his reach to
Right. Because then
know
in,
all
what
the,
was it,
what's
Psalms?
that called?
Out of his purview?
Out of what?
Out of his purview? Out of his,
Purview.
anyway. I thought you were looking for a word. Um
I was looking for a word, but it was dang it. Just keep going.
Okay.
It's in my head, but it won't come to my tongue.
Jurisdiction? No. I'm just gonna
No,
stop.
no.
I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop. I'm only gonna make it worse.
It's gone. It's gone
But
now.
I think it was the verse in, no, it wasn't Psalms. I think it was in Samuel or whatever, where it I keep bringing this up because, you know, anyway, so David was like trying to like banish his son, and then the wise woman was like, God doesn't throw our lives away, but he makes, like, he sets up ways to get us back, or he devises plans to get us back. I think there is grace in every single one of those plans. Like, so you make this decision, there is another plan for you to choose God. I don't think anyone is ever too far gone until they die. Like, you have your entire life to choose God.
People get saved when they're like 80 years old. Like, it happens. Like, I've heard so many testimonies of like, there's this guy, and he is a pastor. I mean, he was raised by I want to say his mom and his dad were in the LGBT community, and they actually like kicked him out the house when he got saved. He got saved as a teenager, and it was they were like not into Christ at all. And I mean, he grew up going to pride parades and everything like that, and he became a pastor.
Tabled.
I know, right? Isn't that crazy? Like, I would have never known. And when he became a pastor, and like his mom and dad got saved, like they were old, like 70 something years old. Like,
wow,
they're not like super radical, but like they believe in Jesus.
Hey, that's enough.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm like, when I think about that, I'm like, man, people be getting saved. Like, or I think about like people I know or like friends that I'm like, I really, you know, like, I really want you to know Jesus. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe when they're like 55, they'll call me up. They'll be like, Wiggy, I love the Lord. And I'll be like, and I'll rejoice the same.
Yep. It just changes the game for the verse Jeremiah 29:11, which I've already talked about Jeremiah 29, but the verse we all know, like, for I know the plans that I have for you, says the Lord, plans of good to give you a future you can hope for.
Yeah.
It's like he really made all the plans.
Yeah. He, like you said, he would like when you make certain steps off whatever path it is, there are ways for God to get you back. Like, I was thinking about, for me having my son was a pivotal moment in my journey to Christ, because I don't know why, but it was a pivotal moment for me. Not immediately, but it was looking back, especially, it was a pivotal moment. But so I was like, I wonder if I didn't have my son, like, what my life would be right now. And I think I was talking to my mom about this actually too. And she was like, God would have did something else. Like, there would have been something else that happened in your life that would have caused you to turn to God, or shown you that God was real or something like that. So it's like, you know, you look back on these things, you're like, man, if that hadn't happened, I don't know where my life would be, but God would have had it. So it would have been different, but the result would have been the same. I think. I don't think there would be a life where I would have ran from him for that long. I mean, I'm already 31. It's like, let's get it together.
But yeah, that verse reminded me of that, and I was like, I needed to say it on the podcast.
Yeah, I like that. I highlighted it. It was not highlighted before, but I am highlighting it now. Okay, so now we are on to Ecclesiastes 7. Let me see. I think I have like 4 things written down. Let me see why. Because now, when did I write this down? I'm not sure. Ooh, okay. This, I have, okay, let me start
with. Is 14.
I do have 14, but my first one is 7 through 10.
Oh.
7 through 10, because this is, I feel like, people need to know that people have been extorting people and bribing people and doing scamming for a long time. And it's not going to work out in your favor. So Ecclesiastes 7 through 10. Surely the practice of extortion turns a wise person into a fool, and a bribe corrupts the mind. The end of a matter is better than its beginning. A patient spirit is better than a proud spirit. Don't let your spirit rush to be angry, for anger abides in the heart of fools. Don't say, Why were the former days better than these? Since it is not wise to ask this. That's really, I like that part too. Don't say, why were the former days better than these? How you know that the former days were better than these? How you know that the days after not going to be better? You don't know nothing.
You don't know anything. We
It is
don't
not
know
wise.
anything. In my translation, it says, don't envy the good old days. And I'm like, man, when we're all trying to relive our heyday.
I feel like that's like a lot right now with the pepperoni going on. Everybody's like, man, I wish it could go back to normal. I miss the old days. I miss being able to travel. I miss being this, that. And it's like, why don't you just get over it?
Yeah.
And I know it's easier said than done because I know I'm the same way. I'm like, man, it's change is annoying. I don't like change. And you do wish it could just go back to normal, but it's never going back to normal. I mean, think about things happen in life that change the trajectory of life. Like, think about 9/11.
I was just about to say, I was like, we have not gone back to normal or what it was before 9/11.
I remember clearly going on a plane when I was a kid. I don't know, maybe 5, 6 years old. My mom walked us to the gate. It was like, I don't remember security. It was open. And I think my mom put us on the plane. When we came back from our trip, it was me and my sister. When we came back, how did it go? I don't know. But my mom was waiting at the gate for us when we got off the plane. That's what I do know. Now, after 9/11, and most people don't even realize this, or if they're too young, they don't understand like how carefree and like we used to be.
That there even was a before. Like,
yeah,
they don't
like
even know.
There are people who don't know an airport without having to take your shoes off, having to take out your laptop, having to do that. You didn't have to do none of that stuff before. Not being able to have certain size containers. What they were letting us do whatever, which is why what happened. But I mean, people can be like, man, I wish I missed the good old days of just walking into the airport and walking right onto the plane.
Yeah.
And you didn't have to get to the airport 2-3 hours ahead of time before. You just went and you got on that plane and you went.
Left.
Yeah. And now things have changed even more where not only in the airport are you going through security, but now you got to wear your mask. Now you're on the plane, but put that mask on. Like, things happen that change life, and things don't ever go back to how they were because things just have to progress, and that's just life. But yeah. What was 7? What did you have? 4? Oh, you have 14.
Oh, you want me to read it? Yeah. Enjoy prosperity while you can, but when hard times strike, realize that both come from God. Remember that nothing is certain in this life. Because I remember saying this on a couple episodes ago, where we're the ones that say that something that happens in our life is positive or negative, when it could be God either way. We want to like throw what we perceive as negative to saying that Satan did this. But if God has ordained you a famine, it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have a financial famine. And
straight up,
Solomon straight up was like, if you're supposed to be broke, then God did that too.
Yeah. Not everything.
And you're gonna be fine.
I saw this reel today someone sent me, and it was like the guy was talking about, he was like, are you failing or is God prevailing? And that kind of, it's like, like, and he was like saying like how everything, I'm gonna have to send it to you. It's like everything is like working for your betterment regardless anyway. And it's like, you just gotta, like, you think you failing, but it's like, God got you where he got you. Yeah. So that's what made me think of that just now. I'm gonna move on to chapter 8 because now we are closing in on an hour, and I really want to get to all the king stuff.
Yeah.
Let me see if chapter 8 is pressing. Let me see what is really pressing. Actually, I thought I had them in chapter 8. Do I not? Maybe not. What's happening? Where are all my highlights? Oh, it's like the Bible app just like deleted all my highlights. Thanks.
Well, I guess we're done with Ecclesiastes.
But basically, Ecclesiastes
Right.
is basically like, look, your dust and your vapor, your life is like, there's one verse, I forgot what it was, but it's like, you're only here for a little while, and the
Your
world gonna
life is
keep
like a
going without
vapor.
you.
Here
The
today,
world gonna
gone
keep going
tomorrow.
without you. God is eternal. You are not. And at the end of the day, I want to say, what is the last? Oh, you
Live
know
your
what? That's what
life.
I'll read. I'll read that. The last.
Hey.
Oh, wait, go back. At the end of chapter 12, it says, when all has been heard, the conclusion of the matter is this: fear God and keep his commands, because this is for all humanity. For God will bring every act to judgment, including every hidden thing, whether good or evil. That's the summation of it. It's like, look, fear God and stop doing dumb stuff, and you will be okay.
Yep.
Okay, so now we are about to
Here's
pop
the tea.
in to if you remember in other episodes, or if this is your first time, I'm about to tell you, we're reading through the Bible in chronological order. So there are stories in First Kings and which is the same story that's in Second Chronicles. So we're just going to tell the story, but just know that right now we're in First Kings / Second Chronicles. And how dare someone text me while I'm recording? Thanks for put that on silent. So, okay, y'all, let's just set the scene. Okay, we talked about some little philosophical stuff. Now we're back to our story times.
Yes.
All right. So we talking about our boy Solomon, okay? So Solomon is about to build the temple. He's finally gonna build the temple. Yay!
Yay.
We're not gonna go unless Vic has some notes, because my brain, I couldn't
I
go
did it
into
once. I'm not doing it
you
again.
did it once. The temple is basically like a huge tabernacle. A lot of the stuff I
Yeah.
think represents the same things, but
Yep.
it's like on 10. Like there's gold everywhere. This is how rich
Literally.
Israel was at the time. They
Oh
got
yeah.
gold everything. Everything is gold. Their shields are gold. The utensils are gold. Like I forgot where it was, but it was like they didn't even use silver for anything because silver was like meaningless.
Yeah, until Solomon like did something to make silver valuable again.
Yeah, we'll get to it. Okay, so
Like, bruh.
basically it starts off with there's another king. I think he's I don't know who he's king of. King of something. King Hiram. Who was he the king of? Tyre.
Yes,
Tyre.
Tyre.
Which I always
Mm-hmm.
thought was a like an evil nation, but maybe they weren't at first. But I want to say
I haven't heard that.
it's like in some prophet book. It talks
Maybe.
about they did something bad, but we'll get to it later.
Yeah.
So Solomon and this king, they have like a treaty where they like trade stuff, and everybody wants to trade with Solomon because he's cool. And this guy Hiram provides him the building materials, and Solomon like kind of repays him. He gives him some land, he gives him like money and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
But Hiram apparently where they had all the cedars, the big large cedars, and they sent him over on some kind of body of water. And I wrote down, was Hiram a follower of God? Because when Solomon tells him the plan, he's like, hey, my dad said we got to build this temple, so I'm about to build it. And Hiram's like, bless the Lord, like he rejoices. And I was just like, so is
Yeah, because I think it said that Hiram had dealt with David before. So he was like okay
okay.
with doing this deal because he knew how important the temple tabernacle was to David.
Oh, okay. So he was like, yes, my boy David's stuff is getting done. Okay.
Yeah.
So the temple starts to be built in the 480th year after the Exodus from Egypt, if that puts it on a timetable for you guys. It was built in the 4th year of Solomon's reign. In the 2nd month, it says in First Kings that it was the 2nd month, but Second Chronicles, because who did I say Second Chronicles was written by? Ezra. Very detail oriented. He said that it was the second day of the second month of the year.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Which was actually there like April, May.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. It was called Ziv. Z-I-V.
Yeah.
Like I said, everything was overlaid with gold. It was like real nice in there. In the 11th year, in the 8th month of the year, the temple was complete. So it took
7
when
years.
did I say? Yeah, 7 years. Oh yeah, I wrote that down. Built in 7 years. What a good number.
Yeah.
Completion.
Yeah.
Was that on purpose or it just work out that way?
I feel like it just worked out that way.
The Lord is good. Solomon also built his palace. The palace was complete after 13 years of construction. So what's funny is the temple has like the 7 and the palace has the 13, but he was wilding out in the palace. But anyway. So Solomon goes to dedicate the temple in the 7th month at the festival, because we know how the Israelites like to have festivals.
Yeah.
So Solomon and all of Israel, they're out there, they're gathered in front of the ark. They're sacrificing so many sheep, goats, and cattle that there's no number. Like they were like, we don't even know how many because it was just carcasses out there,
Right.
basically. Oh, and then you know what I wrote down? And I hope we don't go too long on a tangent because I know us, but it said that there was nothing in the ark except the 2 stone tablets from Moses. And I just want to know, where are the stone tablets today? Are they gone? You know how we have like manuscripts? How long did the stone tablets travel before they were destroyed by somebody? That's a good fun fact to know.
I thought they were still in a museum.
Are they? What? Let me Google.
Either that or the History Channel lied to me.
If they are in a museum, we are planning a trip.
I think it's in Israel.
It's in Israel? Okay,
I think
well, we
so.
said,
listen, if I'm, don't quote me.
Are the stone tablets? I am Googling it because I was like, are they still around? Because to me, if I see that in person, that is proof of everything I need to know. Like, are you kidding? Like,
facts. Yeah.
But yeah, well, as I digress.
I feel like they still exist.
I hope so. You know what, y'all? If y'all want, we might have to start a GoFundMe or something, or we may start a Patreon so y'all can help us go to Israel next year. Because we must.
The sooner that we go and like, you know, get the lay of the land, the sooner that we can like open it up to you guys. We could all go together.
Yes, dude. I don't know. I'm gonna get distracted. My Google search did not come back with anything that I wanted to see. Okay. When they were doing this, the glory of the Lord filled the temple. And it was so crazy that the priests had to stop ministering. I think they had to leave because it was just so overwhelming. Isn't that crazy?
It was full.
Yes. I would love to like be at church and a cloud just come in there and we just like have to stop what we're doing. I mean, I probably would be scared, but I'd be like, this is like in Kings. Okay, anyway. When they do that, Solomon has a prayer that he does, which he should. He like dedicates the temple. He prays, and he's basically like asking God to bless Israel, to stay with Israel. And he's basically saying like, even if we mess up, Lord, because you know we will. But when we pray to you, please be receptive to our prayer. I really love the prayer. I would read it, but
it's long.
I'm not for time. But if this was like a normal week and we weren't doing 2 weeks of stuff, I would read it because I thought it was so beautiful. It was like when I read prayers like that, I'm like, I've been trying to shift how I pray lately, like to pray like these great prayers I see in the Bible. I've been trying to do that. Yeah. But I like that he was like, you know what? We probably gonna mess up, but like, can you forgive us when it happens? And the Lord has a response.
Oh yeah. Do what you're supposed to do. I ain't gonna punish you. But if you jack yourself up,
Oh my goodness. The
You will
Lord.
be punished, and then I'll forgive you.
Yes. Oh, I forgot to say before the Lord responded, when Solomon was pray, or is it right after while he was praying? I don't know. But again, the Lord descends fire from heaven and consumes the sacrifice. And then, oh, that's why I forgot to say that, because in First Kings, it just talks about how the cloud fills the temple. In Second Chronicles, it talks about how fire descends from heaven, consumes the burnt offering, and then the glory of the Lord fills the temple.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know how Ezra likes to give those details.
Yeah.
Um,
Something
but the
else that
Lord,
I noticed.
go.
Something else that I noticed was that whenever Solomon was praying for forgiveness, it was always like, yeah, we're gonna mess up. So like punish us and then forgive us. It was always like,
Mm-hmm.
if you scatter us, we'll know that it's you.
Mm-hmm.
Because we didn't do what we were supposed to do, but like don't leave us,
Yeah,
please. Like,
please.
yes,
Yeah.
please chasten us. Please punish us for the wrongdoings that we have. And then but like forgive us in the end. And
Mm-hmm.
it stuck out to me because it's like before Jesus, well actually no, it's not before Jesus because it's, I'll explain in a minute. But like the wrath of God is poured out before forgiveness. Jesus experienced the wrath of God, and
Mm-hmm.
therefore we have forgiveness. So it's not
Wow.
that the wrath of God just went away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
The
It's
wrath of
it's
God has been
coming.
poured out,
Yeah. Yeah. The
and
wrath
therefore
is
there's
like,
forgiveness.
yeah, that's for sure gonna happen. It's just
Mm-hmm.
now it doesn't come out on you unless you
Yeah.
choose not to put your trust in faith in Jesus.
Yeah. The new covenant didn't change God. It
Yeah.
didn't change God. Like God is still a just God. So he's still hard on sin. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna get too far into that. But
Yeah. We will
come back
talk about
next
it
week.
though.
I mean come back to the end of this week for that one.
Yeah. Into
But
this week we'll talk about that in the church bulletin.
yeah. But yeah.
Um yeah. So the Lord's response is basically, the Lord has a long response too, but he's basically like, look, if you act right, I will be receptive to your prayer. That's fine. You humble yourself and
Mm-hmm.
pray. That's all
Yep.
good. But let me tell you something. If
Act up,
you
you can get snatched
go,
up.
if you go out acting crazy, I will scatter you. I will do the most, and I will not be receptive to your prayer until I'm ready. I don't have to be, like, because you know, we already talked about this basically. Like, you asking me, and I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, choose me,
So
I'll choose you. Stop choosing me. Who are you? Like
yeah, and
that's
that's
just
what
how we
people don't
playing
realize
this.
sometimes too. It's like you keep rejecting God, but then when he rejects you, you mad. What?
He literally did that to the Israelites like every other day. It's like
Like,
I
he
told
love
y'all.
you. If you come to him humbly, he always is open arms. But like, until you do that, bruh, I don't know you. Like, you have been playing with me. You've been playing
I
on my name,
don't know
and
you.
bruh, bye. Anyway, so after that, a little after that, you know, they have they're very happy, of course. You know, okay, you know, Lord responds. Um, I don't know why after that I have, oh, because they had to build some more stuff. So the Lord's temple was built, the palace and stuff was built, but they had like other stuff to build, the wall of Jerusalem, some other towns. And my boy Solomon, he used slave labor, y'all. This is my
Mm.
first time realizing this. I don't know what happened the first time I read through this. I probably wasn't paying attention, but since it's Black History Month. Oh my God, I forgot to say it was Black History Month. Happy Black History Month,
Happy
my
Black
Black
History Month.
people.
Lift every
It's
voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty.
yes, yes. Okay. But so there was a poor part because at first in the beginning of, I forgot it was if it was First Kings or Second Chronicles now, but they talked about the labor force to build the temple, and
Mm-hmm.
it was like 30,000 Israelites, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then for the rest of this stuff, apparently there was a war. There was a war between somebody. I feel like Egypt was involved, but there was a war. And basically like the people who were left over from this war of the Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites were enslaved. They were forced labor and they had to build all this stuff. Any Israelites that were around, they were not enslaved. They were used as soldiers, servants, commanders, and captains. So there are instances of slavery in the Bible, as we know, none of which are like American slavery, but there were slavery. Forced servitude is slavery. We don't have many details, but I feel like this was one of Solomon's first like mistakes, because I read somewhere that it was like God kept telling them to drive these people all the way out or like destroy them completely, and they keep leaving them alive. And I don't know what's worse, killing them or making them slaves, but either way,
they still alive.
God told you to do a certain thing and
Yeah.
you're not listening.
It's like it's a reminder of like Joshua for me. It's just like, not again.
Yeah, not again. Okay. Moving right along. I have a little bit to say about the Queen of Sheba. I'm not gonna spend too long on it. My girl, the Queen of Sheba, came because she had heard about all the things Solomon had, and she was very impressed. So she showed up, and she was very impressive too. She came with a whole bunch of spices, gold, which is why I think he started putting gold on everything, because he has so much gold. He already had gold, and then she brought him like however many tons of gold. And they said that there was
like
never
120,000
something. They said there was never a gift like that given like again ever, like the spices and everything, right? But I did a little Googling on the Queen of Sheba, right? And she is in Jewish and Islamic tradition. She's in both. And she was the ruler of Saba or Sheba, which is in southwestern Arabia. It's an ancient kingdom in Arabia. So she comes to visit Solomon, and to test his wisdom. She has like some hard questions she wants to ask him. Online, it was like she had some riddles for him, but he answered everything with perfectly, and she was like really impressed. But side fun fact, we do not practice Islam here, but I thought it was interesting. So in the Quran, the story says she's in there, but they don't mention her name like the Queen of Sheba. They call her something else, which I'm sure is like in Arabic or something. According to the account in the Quran, Solomon heard from a bird that the Queen of Sheba and her kingdom worship the sun. So he sent her a letter asking her to worship God. She responded by sending him gifts. She had already sent him some gifts, according to the Quran. And he was unreceptive of the gifts. So she showed up. And that's, yeah, she brought him spices, gold, precious stones. And what's cool about this, who knows if that's true or not, I don't know. That's what's in the Quran. When she shows up, after she sees all of Solomon's wisdom, she blesses the Lord. So I'm wondering if that means, what she says, it seemed like she believes, but I wonder if she turned to worship God after experiencing everything with Solomon. I'm wondering.
I would like to know if that account is in the, like, at the end of these chapters, it'll say like the full account of like the great things that Solomon did during his reign is in the book of the prophecy of blah 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 blah, or the story of it. Like, it gives extended reading that's not the Bible, or not in the canonical Bible. So I wonder if it's in there, and that's where the Quran may have gotten it.
It's possible. It's possible, because I always tell people, it's like every little detail is not in the Bible. That would be like impossible to do. Everybody's writing down what they can remember, and what God, brings to remembrance. What's important? Like, maybe that part wasn't important, to the story. Who knows? Especially like he got told by a bird. Like, do we need to know that? I don't know. But y'all, after that, our boy Solomon falls off all the way. He falls off all the way. Solomon becomes unfaithful to God. Solomon loved the ladies. Okay? He loved them. There was also a theory in the Quran about why he didn't wife up Queen of Sheba. Something about her legs being hairy or something. But yeah, that was on, I forgot what website it was, but it was a reputable website.
Let me go check my legs.
Solomon had many foreign women. Okay, so we know God used to say, "Don't be intermarrying with these foreign women around you." Solomon threw that whole thing out the window. I don't know if he just didn't remember or he was just so filled with lust and desire that he just, but let me tell y'all how many women he had. Okay.
Too many.
700 wives. 700 wives who were princesses. 300 concubines. That is 1,000 women that he was knowing biblically. That's a lot of. I could not even imagine. First of all, I don't even want to. I know he couldn't have talked to them all the time because I don't even want to talk to that many
There's
people.
not even enough like days in a year.
I don't even want to be touched by that many people. Ugh, ugh, ugh.
And I don't want to be with a man that's been touched by that many women. That's nasty.
All of those women, their pH balances were off.
Clearly.
Clearly. That's what I do now.
Like, all I know is that Greek yogurt had to have been a commodity because...
Because what? Heck no.
Like, they needed some, like, real rich antioxidants and probiotics. That's all I know.
Yeah. Because I know... Yeah. When I read that, I actually read that today. I was like, wow. I knew he had a lot of wives, but when you see, like, the actual number, like, why do you need 700 wives? Because we talked about David already doing the wrong thing by having so many wives. And he didn't even touch this. He might have had 10. What, he had, like, 10 concubines? He might have had, like, I don't know. I'm going to give him 10 wives, 10 concubines. I don't really remember the number, but it was very minimal compared to 700 wives. Jeez Louise.
Like, anyway, much?
But all these people, right? All these women, they turned Solomon's heart away from God. Okay.
Because each of them had a different god.
They were worshiping other gods. Solomon started to follow Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and Milcom, the idol of the Ammonites. He also built a high place for Chemosh, the idol of the Moabites, and he built a high place for Milcom too. And he also built Molech. Yeah. We said that already, huh? That he did that. We did. What episode was that? Episode 6, I think. I just edited that. That's the only reason I know. And he built high places for, like, I guess whoever his other wives, like whatever gods they had, he just built them like little places to do their little sacrifices to their gods. But let me tell you guys. So God don't have time for y'all nonsense, okay? So God is like, oh, you playing with me. You playing. Clearly. So if you know anything about the Bible at all, you know that eventually the kingdom of Israel is divided. This is why. This is literally why. Because Solomon was acting up. Solomon did the most, building altars, building this and that. And God said, guess what? God talked to this dude, Jeroboam, who I think he wilded out too. All of them. Everybody after this is go wild out. Okay, as far as the kings, without all of them, there'll be like a couple that do the right thing, but most of them are gonna do terrible things. God speaks to Jeroboam through the prophet Ahijah, the Shilonite, and tells him like, "Hey, I'm about to rip the kingdom away from Solomon because he made me mad. Okay, I'm gonna give you like 10 tribes, but I'm gonna keep one tribe." And that confused me because he said 10 and he gave one to, but I'm like, where the other one?
So I think the other one is the one that like got thrown out.
That destroyed,
was it Benjamin?
Right?
Or was it Dan? Who was it?
I thought Benjamin got destroyed, but then they tried to do something that they really weren't destroyed. That was the Judges. But we've got to go back and do our research on that.
But I think they still like got not, I guess like
Yeah, I
Not
think that's true.
excommunicated, but like cut off.
Because when they mention them, it always seems like they're just another type of people. Like they're not like a tribe.
So that's what I immediately thought. I was like, oh, the other one's just not in the group.
Yeah, so the 10 tribes are given to Jeroboam, and the tribe of Judah is given to Solomon only for the sake of David. David did so good in life, and he loved the Lord so much that God was like, okay. Like, can you imagine? Like, I think that about myself. Honestly, I'm trying to not go too long on a tangent, but I know that there are prayers of my great-grandmother, great-great-great-grandmother, grandfathers that is affecting my life today. Like, there are things that God was like, you know what? I ain't gonna do you how I'm supposed to do you because, you know, your great-grandmother, who's also named Christina, she was praying for you real hard, you know? One of my aunts actually told us that one time. She was like, our family is so covered based on their prayers. So, yeah, Solomon, you didn't get completely destroyed because of your daddy. So what happened? So Solomon ends up dying. Solomon reigned for like 40 years, and his son, and this could be confused. What happened?
So when Jeroboam, when he comes back, he comes in and was like, yeah, God's gonna give me everything, blah blah blah. Solomon did only what his family knows how to do, and he ran. Yeah. Solomon was like, I bet I'ma go.
I couldn't determine who ran or not, but I was like, there was a separation because there was like some tense moments because it's like, what do you mean?
Because then Rehoboam, Solomon's son, came back and was like, this mine.
Yes. And let me tell you guys, that could be a very confusing read. You may have to read it a couple times because when you read Jeroboam and Rehoboam in the same sentence, you're like, who is who? I had to really tell my brain that Rehoboam is Solomon's son. I have to keep saying that because I'm like, the names are the same. It's like almost the same name. It's like, whoo, yeah. So, yeah. I don't know. I was just really disappointed in Solomon, y'all.
We were rooting for you. We were
rooting for you. You had all that wisdom just to throw it away on some women in their gods. This is why they don't want us preaching in the church now. They think that we're a bunch of harlots that's going to lead the people to destruction. That is what they think. Yeah, so basically this is how you get the like northern and southern kingdoms of Israel. You got Israel and then you got Judah, the kingdom of Judah. Let me see. What are the most important parts that I have left? Let me see.
So Jeroboam was it like somebody was about to come and like destroy something? I don't think it was Shishak. It was something that was happening. Oh, the people were like, oh, but then okay, so like the people were kind of asking him like, okay, like asking Jeroboam.
See, it's very hard.
Yeah.
Oh, I know you talking about when the kingdom was actually divided and they were like, hey, you've been putting a lot of work on us. Can you stop?
Yes.
That was Solomon's son. So that was Rehoboam. That was Rehoboam.
Like, I feel like he said my dad was like too light on y'all and I'm a double it because my daddy was tripping.
That's what it was. Okay. This is really how. So Solomon doing what he doing started the divide of the kingdom, but this was the nail in the coffin because so I already said that Solomon was imposing labor on people, so he was already falling off. And so the people come, and these are the Israelites, so even their labor must have been difficult. They go to Rehoboam and they're like, hey, you know, the work your dad put on us was real harsh. Can you like lighten the load? So Rehoboam goes to the elders And the elders are like, yeah, be receptive to what they have to say. Be nice to them and they'll serve you for the rest of your life. Like if you heed their words. He's like, no, I don't like the way that sounds. He goes to his friends, like his peers, and his peers are like, oh, that's what they said? Oh, double the work then. So he does that. He goes, they come back to him in 3 days. He tells them, I'm actually going to double the work. Israel looking around like, oh, this man crazy. And they were like, we clearly don't have any inheritance in the house of David. We're out. And then they like appoint Jeroboam as their king. I forgot why.
That's what it is.
Yes. But Jeroboam was real bad. Okay. Jeroboam. Oh my God. Jeroboam practiced idolatry. He made them 2 golden calves. This is giving very Aaron vibes. This man
is, because then he straight up was like, these are the calves, these are the gods that delivered you out of Egypt. I was like, ain't nobody talked about Egypt there forever. Why you bring that up?
He said the same thing Aaron said. When I read that, I was like, is he for real? Like, and then y'all have the nerve to believe him and like, oh, okay, yeah, these are the gods. Don't worry about it. I've been worshiping at the tabernacle for all these years, but don't worry about it. It's a trying time right now. I'm going to worship these golden calves. Like, are you crazy? Jeroboam also made shrines on the high places, and he actually made a festival in the 8th month, just like the Lord's festival.
The feast, the festival of Tabernacles, actually, I think.
Yeah.
And then he had he had shrine prostitutes. Mm-hmm. I was like, sir.
Yeah, there were prostitutes at these shrines. Mm-hmm.
I was like, sir, the line, you've crossed it. You stopped dancing on it a long time ago. You crossed it.
I feel like he just did not care. And what's weird is that God would give him this kingdom. God sent a prophet to tell him that he was going to be the king.
Mm-hmm. And so basically it said that after God spoke through this next prophet that's about to come and be like, you messed up and now everyone's just going to be scattered and it's just going to be whatever. Mm-hmm. The prophet says that basically God did all this on purpose to scatter everybody. So he picked Jeroboam. He picked Jeroboam because he knew Jeroboam was about to wild out and he needed him to wild out to scatter everybody.
So he could have the justification. Okay.
God is just. He needed a just cause.
Speaking of Jeroboam, right? And this is a good story to end on because I thought this story was so interesting. It was crazy. And there's some parts I really don't understand about it. But okay. So there's judgment on Jeroboam. Like she's saying. Jeroboam has all these altars and everything, right? So there's a man of God who they don't necessarily call him a prophet. In my Bible, it said a man of God because they have to differentiate him with another prophet. That comes along later. But he cries out against the altar and he prophesies basically he prophesies about Josiah actually, like that there will be a king that comes later. And he's like, and to prove that this is going to happen right now, the altar is about to get torn down and the ashes are going to pour out. And Jeroboam don't like that. He's like, arrest him. He points out. He's like, get that man. And when he points his little ugly finger out, his hand withers and he can't even pull it back to himself. And he's probably horrified because he's like, what is happening?
Right.
Because he thought he was big, tough stuff. And at that moment, the altar is ripped apart and the ashes are poured out. It doesn't say like how, but it happened. And so after this, when Jeroboam, the king Jeroboam sees all this, he pleads with the man of God, like, please talk to the Lord for me. Oh, now you want to talk to the Lord. Okay. Talk to the Lord. But the Lord was receptive to the prayer, actually. And he healed his hand, right? So after that, the king is like, come on in to the man of God. Come on in and I got a reward for you. Come eat, come drink, whatever, And the man of God is like, nah, the Lord told me that I was not to eat, drink, or go back the way I came. I got to keep going. Awesome. Right? Cool.
Mm-hmm.
This is a lesson on how you need to understand your assignment.
Yep.
Understand your assignment, and it'll make sense at the end. So after this happens, there is an old prophet. And for some reason, I feel like this old prophet he's kind of shisty. I don't understand his role, what he was trying to prove. But so the old prophet hears about all this, and he has a son, and the son tells him everything. He's like, I'm gonna go get him. He's like, I'm about to. So he goes after the guy, and he is like, hey, I heard all this stuff happen, blah blah blah, and he invites him back to go eat. The old prophet invites the man of God to go eat. The man of God is like, no, I can't come, because he tells him the same thing. I'm not supposed to eat, drink, or whatever.
Yeah.
But the old prophet tells him, nah, I'm a prophet too, and an angel of the Lord told me to bring you back to my house. But he's lying. And he's intentionally lying. And so I'm like, bro, why? Why are you doing this? Why? Like, so he brings him back to the house, right?
Yeah.
And they eat. And that's the end of my notes, but I'm glad I know the story. They eat, and all of a sudden, the word of the Lord comes on the old prophet. Now he is actually a prophet. And he's like, since you did not listen, and you came over here and ate, and I told you not to, like, it's bad for you now. It's not going to be good for you. Like, you're going to die, actually. So the man of God leaves on his donkey. He's leaving on his donkey. He gets attacked by a lion. And, of course, he dies. And he's on the side of the road, laying there. And I think the lion is still standing there, too.
Yeah, the lion's standing there. It hasn't eaten him. Like, it hasn't devoured him. And it hasn't eaten the donkey. So the donkey's sitting there. The lion's sitting there. Dude's just dead, like, in the middle.
Yes. Oh my God. And then the old prophet hears about it, because I guess people see the guy on the road, and he's like, saddle up my donkey. I'm going to get him. And he goes, and he acts like he's sad now, and he buries him. And he tells his son, hey, when I die, bury me with this man of God. That is not the wildest story I read, but I don't understand. Where the only lesson I got out of that, well, one of the main lesson I got out of that is, when God gives you an assignment,
do that.
You stick to it, and you don't let other people come in and try to tell you what God told them to tell you. You really have to test that out. You know what I mean? Because I do know that there are instances where God will tell somebody something. Like, they'll be like, I got something for you, or they'll just be like, I just have a feeling I need to tell you this, right?
Yeah.
But nobody can, like, tell you about something God told you. God for sure told him, do not eat, do not drink, and keep going. And you let somebody come and tell you, oh no, I'm a prophet too. You could be easily duped. You know what I'm saying? And it cost him his life.
Yeah.
It cost him his life. And he was really a man of God. He really had a word from God. Everything he said came true. But he went back on, like, I wonder if it would have been better if, when the guy came and said, hey, I'm a prophet of the Lord too, he told me, he should have just inquired of the Lord. You know what I mean? Like, he should have stopped. And if you're not sure, you ask God. That would be what I would say. If you know what assignment you on, and somebody comes and says, hey, actually, God told me, no, this is your assignment. You can't just go with what they say.
Yeah.
Because God can tell you, we like, they both prophets. You think God got to use another prophet to tell a prophet what's going on? I don't think so.
It's a horrible game of telephone.
Man, when I read it, I was like, man, I felt like the man of God didn't deserve that, man. If you didn't know, usually we have a intercessory prayer segment, and that whole last segment from Solomon with his wives till then was the intercessory prayer segment, because everybody needed somebody's help in those instances, because I mean, my mind is still blown about the old prophet being like it was not even none of your business. You weren't even there. You heard about it from your son or your neighbor or whoever, and you're like, I'm gonna get him. Why? Because it doesn't say that the Lord said, go get him and test him. I didn't read that. Not saying that didn't happen, but whoever wrote it, they didn't think that. I think that would be an important detail. So it seems like he's just a shiesty guy, and who feels bad later is like,
basically
bury me with him, like I love him. Actually, no, sir. That's real messed up. Yeah, there's some other things that happen, but why when I look down, remember I was Googling earlier, and I guess I deleted everything but do, and think, you know how when you put something that has like the suggestions?
Yeah.
So after do, it's like, do Muslims believe in Moses? Do giants still exist? Yo.
We all know what she's been searching.
Well, the ones I have before that, which is funny, like my, the ones with the clock next to it, are about like flying. Like, do I need to be vaccinated to fly to Florida? Do I have to be vaccinated to fly Southwest? Do I need headphones and StreamYard for echo cancellation? That's what I'm really looking up. Because I think I had looked that up because somebody told me I was supposed to go to Florida for a work trip. And somebody was like, how are you going to go? You're not vaccinated. And I was like, it's Florida, bro. And I was like, well, let me Google it and make sure. But I am getting vaccinated soon, though. I am not an anti-vaxxer. I just don't like getting stuck.
That's fair.
Yeah, but your girl got an international trip this year, so he got to get it. I'm supposed to do it this month. I need to make that appointment. Anyway, but I think that's all we have for you guys. We had to squeeze it in. I did feel like I didn't go as deep on some stuff but we did 2 weeks of information this week because we were off last week.
Yep.
And we don't like to skip out on all the information for you guys. So I forgot to say in the beginning of the video, but if you're watching on YouTube, hit the like, subscribe. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, leave a review. If you are listening to this on Spotify or Google, rate us, give us 5 stars. And
5 stars.
What else is there? Stay tuned for our church bulletin that's going to come out later this week. We're going to be talking about God's grace and is God soft on sin, along with a current event.
Yes.
But anyway, that's all we have for you guys. I'm so glad that we didn't get close to 2 hours because I know how we are. But we love you guys. Stay tuned. Oh, I want to say thank you for all the new listeners. We hope you stay. Our listeners have been growing, and we love you guys. So keep listening. We will be back. Peace and love. Bye.